Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Coping.
This is a podcast about skating, shenanigans, and life. I'm Kate.
And I'm Leanette.
This is episode 3, Shred Till You Dead, where we're going to talk about age and gear.
And some nutrition facts, too.
Correct, yes. For our opening discussion, we figured we'd talk about some happenings at the vert ramp. Here in Houston, it is definitely pollen season. Some places get snow. We get pollen. Really bad.
It's basically snow, but
Yeah.
yellow.
Yellow snow. I'm sure everybody kind of experiences it, but it's really crazy in Houston. And it actually started earlier this year than usual.
Yeah, way earlier.
The trees are basically, I've never been on dating apps, but what is it, swiping right or swiping left? I don't know. They're like match. I mean, they're going crazy out there. So that makes it very labor intensive for us because we always sweep the vert ramp before every session, but now we're going to have to start mopping before every session.
And it takes about 20 minutes to mop.
If there's a couple people doing it, yeah. Yeah, because we have to
Well,
mop.
I don't know. Cody does it pretty quick by himself.
Well,
He's
29. He's got lots of energy. We not only mop the whole ramp, but we also mop the deck because everyone walking up on top of the deck, if there's pollen up there, the skateboarders don't necessarily bring it with them because they step on their board and the board gets all the pollen. But like us, it gets caked on our wheels pretty bad.
I don't know. Cody's wheels the other day, he was talking about it, were pretty gross.
Yeah.
They were full of grit and grime. And mine were fine. It was from the pollen.
That's one of the fun things that we get to deal with here in Houston. We had another round of ramp run, which is what we kind of nicknamed when, so the guys, after the sesh, when we're, doing handstands and hanging out.
That's when all the shenanigans really go.
That's when the shenanigans really happen. They've done it a couple times in the last couple weeks where they will have a contest with each other they'll take their shoes off, so they'll only be in socks. And you have to run and try to jump and catch the coping at the top of the ramp and pull yourself up, which is really funny. I will get the video so she can splice it in. Cody ran to jump and he jumped a little early and he literally went, woo! And it was like Superman. He was suspended in the air for a second and then fell.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And then poor Mike didn't even get up to the top of the ramp. I think
he said his socks were too slippery.
Or not slippery
I guess
enough.
they weren't sweaty enough. They were dry socks. And then there was pollen on the ramp too, I think.
But that's always entertaining when they do that.
Or when they do their flips on the ramp. I can't do that. It hurts my spine.
I know, it hurts mine too. I did it once though. I did it really good in practice, and then when we actually went to film, I got stuck.
It was pretty funny.
I got stuck and I couldn't get all the way over. Again, they're a lot younger than us. They can do all of those things, and it takes us a little longer.
It just hurts my spine.
That too.
I'm bony. I'm really bony.
Yeah, actually, that was one thing, playing roller derby with Leanette. She has very sharp hips. So if you go to hip check her, or shoulders, you go to hip check her. You were the one who felt it, not her. So.
Trick names.
Yes. I made up a few new nicknames.
Came up with some new trick names.
So Cody did a trick where he kind of looked like an upside down propeller. It was it was like an air. So he had his board on his feet. And so whatever he did, he went up and he was still holding his board, but he spun in the air. So literally his board looked like the top of a propeller. I called it the whirly bird.
Was it a rodeo?
I don't know. That's why I make up my own nicknames.
Because a rodeo, I believe, if I'm correct, is a No, that's not it. Because
Okay.
a McTwist is a backside 540. Is a rodeo a frontside 540? No.
I don't know. And he looked like a little whirly bird. Okay, so another thing, like in the springtime, when all of the oak trees are dropping their little seed pods and they float down, they go all the way down. Well, that's kind of what he looked like. Was he went up the ramp, and when he got in the air, he went and spun, and so he looked like a whirly bird to
I
me.
don't think.
And then there was another one that at first I called the salt shaker because he went up with his board and he grabbed his board and he kind of went like, he kind of like shook it in the air, but he was also still on it. It was probably just like a regular trick with just a little extra steez on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was an indie air with extra.
But I was trying to figure out what to name, and I was like, oh, salt shaker, that's not really right. And I was like, oh, cheese grater. And then Lynette's like, well, a cheese grater, you only go one way, right? And he went back and forth. And so then I was like, well, I could make a really inappropriate joke right here. And then she said, how about the shake weight? So we named that one the shake weight. Those are some new nicknames we came up with. Oh, and Cody did did he do the Quiznos? No. I thought he did the Quiznos, but it was
no,
the other one.
He did a kickflip indie. I think is what it was.
I forget. I got excited and I was like, the Quiznos!
He tried the Quiznos again, but
yeah,
he didn't land it.
Yeah. But yeah, I got excited because I thought it was the Quiznos and I yelled it out and then I was like, oh dang, I even got my nickname wrong.
It was a kickflip indie and it was really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ooh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he did land it.
Yes. Yep, so that was a little bit of the happenings at the ramp.
Were there any more?
I'm sure we'll think of some for
There was
the next
something.
episode.
I don't remember.
That's okay. So, age. That's a good segue into age.
That is a good segue.
You forget things as you get older. I've already like surrendered to the fact that when I am old, like, well, okay, I don't want to like offend my parents who are going to be in their 70s eventually, but like 70s and such, like, I've already surrendered that I'm going to be wearing a name tag with my name and my address. So I don't get lost.
My idea of actually being old is like 80.
Yeah, I guess.
80 and above.
Especially
Because
because
I feel like people even in their 70s are still like
pretty active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still be active even older, but I think when you hit 80, you're like actually old.
Starting to slow down. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily starting to slow down because I mean there are some people who have reached 100 and are still really active.
True.
It all depends on your mindset and how you go about life. There are some people who like get into their 60s and are like, all right, that's it. Like they go to retire from work and then they age really quickly because they've stopped doing things.
Yeah. No, that's true. That is true. Like the more active you stay, the better quality of life you'll have. Yeah, because I mean, when we were kids, you hit 40 and everyone's like, oh, you're over the hill, and they make this
30
huge...
was old when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Okay. So let's really quickly caveat into like TV shows and such. Kids from the 90s remember Rugrats. The parents in Rugrats were supposed to be in their 30s, and look how tired and disheveled they looked. And like that was our perception of what you look like when you were 30, right? So I think that's part of it too. It's like, the Golden Girls. The Golden Girls were in their 50s?
I think they were
60s?
older.
They were
I think
older than that?
Sophia.
Well, Sophia was the oldest one, but still, it was like...
Maybe they were in their 60s.
I don't know, but yeah.
And then Sophia was in her 80s.
Nowadays, people look a lot younger, and part of it's the whole beauty industry and Botox and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, people want to stay looking younger longer.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, honestly, if you just stay active and moisturize, you're good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Kate will tell you about moisturization. That is a word.
Yes, it is. I still get carded sometimes, which is really cool, because I'm like, okay, I was born in 82. And they're like, oh.
I know, they look at mine and then they look at me and they're like, I'm like, yes, that's correct.
That's one fun thing, too, is when we're skating, if someone new visits the ramp, we always end up getting into the discussion about age because I'll say something like, they're like, oh, are you going to go? Are you going to go? And I'm like, oh, I got to rest. Like, hang on. It takes me a little longer to recover. They're like, why? Are you getting over an injury? And I'm like, no, I'm 40. And half the time they'll do a double take and be like, wait, what? You're 40? And I'm all, yeah, I mean, I'm 28. Yeah, but that's always fun.
We're like, that's why we sit.
Yeah, that's why we sit in between our runs.
Because we're like, okay, y'all each take 2 runs and then we'll get back on there.
Sometimes I feel like it's more than that, though. Age is definitely something you have to factor into when you're skating, because whether you've been skating for a long time, you started out young and you're getting older, or even there are some people that are starting to skate when they're older.
Because as mentioned in the first episode, I was 30 when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had skated when I was a kid, like on rollerblades when they first came out or whatever. I didn't really start. I had never put quads on until I was 30, and I didn't skate since I was like 10 years old until I reached 30.
I had quad skated as a kid because everybody's birthday was at the roller rink, and that was just a magical place in the 80s. I started skating derby at 28. It was, I was not really old, a bit. I mean, really, a lot of the people in derby, we had a pretty good mix of ages. We had some, like, you had to be at least 18 to start playing with Houston roller derby. So we had like maybe 1 or 2 19-year-olds, and they were, fast and full of energy. And then we had women in their 50s that were skating derby with us. And then we even had
Mommy was in her 50s, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we even had Miss Barbara, which her derby name was SAG, S-A-G, which stood for Still Above Ground. And she was 75.
Was she skating?
Well, she was skating. She didn't do contact, obviously. She was skating with us. And then she kind of became like the league mom. She was going to everybody's games, and it was great. And we love Miss Barbara. You can still skate when you're older. It's just like every other athlete, you got to kind of prep for that. One of the things that I have to do all of the time is stretch. And part of it's growing up doing gymnastics while I went through puberty. My hips didn't form properly. The ball joint of my leg and the socket of my hip socket is shaped a little bit abnormally. So the actual ball joint of my leg knocks into the socket. And over time, I've chipped away little fragments of bone, and they sit in the muscle. Because when I started playing roller derby, you're only turning left, right? It's just like NASCAR. You're only turning left. Because I had most of my weight on that leg, speed skating, like I was not even a year into derby, and I had started getting really bad aches in my hip, like deep ache, and nothing I did could fix it. And I went to the orthopedist and got x-rays and then an MRI, and he was like, oh yeah, this is what it is. It's called FAI, and there's different types, and you could get surgery, but if you get surgery, you'll probably lose flexibility. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I've already lost a lot of flexibility because I'm in my almost 30s, and I don't want to do that. So they had me do a bunch of physical therapy exercises to strengthen the muscle, and so now I do those all the time. I'm constantly stretching. I'm constantly doing exercises to strengthen the outside muscle of my hip, which helps. But I mean, it's definitely, if I sit for long periods of time, which Leanette and I both have office jobs, so we sit in front of a computer. If I sit for long periods of time, my hip gets really stiff. But then on the other side of that, if I skate too much, it also hurts my hip. So I have to find that happy medium. So a lot of times, the group is like, let's sesh, and they're doing like 4 and 5 days in a row. And I'm like, I could maybe do 3 days in a row, but more than that, my body gets really, really tired.
See, I try to do yoga daily because all of my muscles will just tighten up. Mm-hmm. And that comes from being a runner when I was younger. Okay. My entire family, we're a family of runners. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you're an Army brat, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
So all of my muscles, my family's not very flexible anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so funny, we're such a running family. Like when you're a runner, you stretch a little bit, blah, 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 whatever. Mm-hmm. I had to start doing yoga on a regular basis because if I don't, all of my muscles just tighten up and I lose all my flexibility. Okay. So, and I found this really good yoga channel on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I do that. I try to do it daily. I get off track
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit. I think it's been a week since I did yoga, and I can feel it.
Oh, really?
I can always feel it when I've stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can tell the difference when I start again, and I'm just like, why did I stop this? And then I get off track again. It's a never-ending cycle.
I understand that.
Do I take a nap? Do I do yoga? Because I'm old. I like naps.
Like when you're a new mom and the baby finally falls asleep and you're like, do I also sleep or do I get all the housework done that I've been putting off forever? Ugh.
Yeah, see, I choose sleep.
I
love sleep.
I usually do.
Sleep is so nice.
Sleep is nice, yeah.
Kindergartners don't know how great they have it.
I
get to have nap time during the day.
I know. I can't believe I was so mean to naps when I was a kid, because now it's amazing when you can take a nap. Woo. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we sound old.
That's what this episode is about.
I'm all, oh yeah, naps.
Speaking of all that, too, like this morning when I got up, actually I think it was more like last night, I fell asleep on the couch.
Oh no.
Watching TV.
Oh no.
And when I got up from the couch, my shoulder was killing me because the cushions on the couch aren't as comfortable as my bed is.
Agree.
So
yeah.
I moved to the bed, and all night this shoulder it's killing me.
You basically lost use of that arm, correct?
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
Lifting anything, it's just
right. It's like you think about it too.
You just
like,
fall asleep and then wake up and something hurts.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, you think back to like your college days, and you're like, oh, I woke up on the floor. What happened? You know. And then now it's like, I need 4 strategically placed pillows or I will die. You know? I think
falling asleep on the couch is a no-no.
Really bad.
Well, I wake up with a crick in your neck or a pinched nerve in your back or a shoulder that doesn't work.
I'm actually pretty offended that I can skate on a vert ramp and knock on wood, don't really get injured, but I can sleep funny and my whole back is fucked up. Like... Mm-hmm. What the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so unfair, right? I mean, I guess not, because I'd rather, deal with that than get injured and not be able to skate. But yeah, still, it's one of those things where when you start to get older, you're like, wait a minute, what did I do wrong? Or you stand up too fast.
Yeah,
you stand up too fast and you're like, oh, wait, hang on.
Or all the noises we make when we're going to stand up. It's like, okay, hold on. He's got to get situated. I got to use my arms.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, my cousins and I used to giggle because my grandpa would make so much noises, either standing up or sitting down. We'd be like, and now I'm like, damn it.
No, that's what I do.
That's me. Yeah, actually, one of the guys made a comment at the ramp the other day because it's like we were both going to sit down and we both were like, and they both looked over and were like, are you guys okay? Like, yeah, we're fine. We're just sitting down. It's fine.
That's what old people sound like when they sit.
Yep.
They also sound that way when they stand up.
Exactly.
Or when they lay down. Or please don't ask us to bend down to reach for anything.
Yeah. It'd be like a 1989 Batman. If he had a cell phone back then and he dropped it, he wouldn't be able to bend down and get it. And he also couldn't turn his head without turning his whole body, right? That's like you get to be that way. Doing kind of extra prep before skating, stretching.
Yeah.
Hydration's a big thing. Like everybody should be hydrating. If you're an athlete, you should majorly hydrate. And actually, the good, I'm sure everybody probably already knows this, but the good rule of thumb is if your pee is clear, it means you're hydrated.
I know when I'm dehydrated, my feet cramp up, making it impossible to skate.
Oh yeah, your muscles will cramp if you're dehydrated.
So sometimes if I can feel that starting, I'll eat a pickle or take a shot of pickle juice. It actually helps.
Yes.
It helps you retain water.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
When we used to go on street skates, half the time we would start downtown at the bar and she would order a shot of pickle juice before we went on a street skate. And some of the other skaters with us were like, what are you doing? That's gross.
Well, when I first started doing that, the bartenders were like, you just want a shot of pickle juice? Like, no Jameson to go with that? No, I'm about to go skating. I need a shot of pickle juice.
Yeah.
I'll be back later. But to start with.
Well, and I really like those, like the liquid IV mix-ins. You just take a bottle of water and you put it in. It's got like electrolytes and vitamins and all that stuff in it. I'll usually make one of those and drink it on the way to the ramp, which sometimes can be detrimental because then by the time I get to the ramp, I have to pee. And we have to ask Scott to unlock the bathroom.
Old lady problems.
Sorry, Scott. Even if we stop and pee on the way, it's like, I still gotta pee.
Yeah, I know. I pee before I leave the house. I pee at the gas station right by the ramp, and then I get there and I'm like, oh crap.
Yep. Another thing about getting old is you always gotta pee.
I feel like pickle juice is still better than any of those other drinks, though. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Because, like, I mean, I can drink an entire Gatorade and I can still, my feet will still cramp up, but one little shot of pickle juice.
Well, I think probably the salt content is higher.
Oh, way higher.
Right?
Yeah, helps you retain all the water instead of getting rid of it, which... Because even, like, if I'm dehydrated and I'm driving, my feet will start to cramp up. It's happened many, many, many times.
Yeah.
If I go on a road trip, because I'm really terrible at drinking anything while I'm on a road trip, because it's like... If I drink anything, I'm gonna have to stop, and I don't like to stop.
Yeah.
So
you won't drink any water.
I'll go for hours and hours and hours without drinking anything, and then my feet will start to cramp up, and I'm driving, so it's.
And then I feel like too, everybody needs to hydrate more during the summertime because you lose a lot of water when you sweat. So drinking something that has some sort of electrolytes or something in it at least helps you not lose it as fast. Here in Houston, we definitely have to be careful because in the summertime it gets so hot, it can actually get dangerous and there's a risk of heat stroke and all of that.
I bring a whole gallon of water to the skate park with me. If I go downtown to Jamel, they have water fountains. And one of those water fountains, the one in the back, gives you cold water.
Oh, nice. Very
it's
nice.
Really nice.
Helpful
and
tip, Houstonians.
Just press the button and let the hot water run away.
Oh, yeah.
And then I promise you, the refrigerated water will come out.
That also makes me think of back when we were little kids and you would drink from the hose. And I actually saw a TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I see TikToks when people share them on Instagram because I'm a fucking adult and that's how I get to see all the trends. They were talking about drinking from the hose and some kid was like, wait, you guys had to drink from the hose? Like, didn't you have like...
I think I shared...
I think you shared. Did you share
my story?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
But it was like, and he was like, oh no, you weren't ever the first one to drink from the hose. Only the kids that were new, that didn't know what to do, were the first ones that drank from the hose because that was the hot water and they got scalded.
You gotta let the hose run for a minute.
Yep. Anyway.
Get that cold water.
Anyway.
Not that the cold water was really that cold.
No, but it's better than
the scalding hot water that had been sitting in the hose for days and days and days.
Yeah. So hydration is key. Another thing I like to do, and actually I started it when I started skating derby, because we would do, not only would we have practice on skates, but then we would also do off skates practices, right? So we would do some sort of Tabata type training where you set a timer. It's like a go time and a rest time. So it'd be like go time is 60 seconds, rest time is 15 seconds. And then you would do different exercises and it would get your heart rate up and all that. And doing off skates exercises would strengthen muscles that you didn't necessarily use when you were skating. That's very helpful here. And also even something as simple as balance exercises. A lot of people in roller derby, when we were teaching the newbies, we'd have boot camps like every 6 weeks. Some people are just naturally good at skating because they have the balance, they're athletic, and then some people don't. They have to learn it. That was one thing that I would always tell the newbies. I would say start building balance exercises into your day, and it could be as simple as standing on one foot for a certain period of time and then switching. And when you're first starting out, if your balance is really bad, you can like stand in front of a counter and hold on to the counter to make sure you don't fall over. But you need to do that because you trying to balance yourself on one foot, your foot's wobbling a little, your whole body's wobbling a little. Well, what's happening is all the little muscles in your ankles are trying to make up for the lack of balance on one side or the other. And so you're strengthening those muscles. And that's very helpful for skating because you have to be able to balance on your roller skates to stay upright. And it also helps to reduce your risk of injury because your ankles are stronger. You hear people say like, oh, I have weak ankles. Well, that's one thing you can do to help kind of prevent that.
Yeah.
You might still have weak ankles, but they won't be as weak, and then it helps prevent you from getting seriously injured.
Calf lifts also help with that.
Yes.
Doing them, not only like your regular calf lifts, but if you turn them in and then turn them out and do them, it helps. I used to do that all the time.
Like I said earlier, the muscles on the outside of my hips are weaker than they should be because of the way my hips are formed. And actually walking sideways up and down stairs will strengthen that area. When we're at the vert ramp, we have to walk up a flight and a half of stairs. When I go up, I usually walk up normal. But when I come down, I'll come down sideways. So I'll face the railing and I'll come down because my left hip is my weaker hip out of the two. I always call it my old lady hip. I purposely will turn sideways to go down the stairs. Not only is it safer because my wheels won't catch, I'm using my toe stops, but the act of stepping over my other leg, my other foot, strengthens that.
Also, I'm strengthening my hips without realizing it.
Yeah, you are. Building things into your routine and kind of just like overall management of your body. It's good to do outside of skating because it'll make you a stronger skater. Especially as you start to age, you want to make sure you're doing all those things because the stronger you are, the less prone to injury you're going to be. I mean, except for the crazy freak falls or something, but the majority of normal, falls and spills, it's not going to be as detrimental.
Yeah, if you're nice and stretched and strengthened, it won't be as bad.
Mm-hmm.
My knee, when I tore the MCL, I think it was because I wasn't stretched. I mean, the way I landed, I was at North Houston Skate Park working on Estro kicks. I think it was 2021 because
that was the first year
4 days before Banger, and I was working on Estro kicks, and I went up, and then I did the 180 out, but I landed at a 45-degree angle or at a 90-degree angle instead of a full 180, and that's how I tore it. I think it took almost a year for it to not feel painful. I mean, even now still, depending on the way I lay in bed, it feels tight. If I had been doing my yoga, it probably wouldn't have been so bad because that really helps stretch everything out.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think I was on one of those off cycles of doing yoga. Yeah. Once I got back to being able to put pressure on it without it feeling like it was going to
give out on you.
I started doing yoga again to help strengthen it and stretch it, and it's pretty good now.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing about getting older as you skate is if you do get injured, it takes a little longer for you to recover. Age is a huge factor. That's like my mom.
Your body just doesn't heal as quickly as you get. The older you get, doctors don't want to do surgery on people if they don't have to, especially when they're past a certain age, because it does take so long to heal.
Well, that's like my mom. My parents are retired now. They're in their mid-60s. They got a travel trailer and started going to different national parks and such. And there was one day, my mom, I can't remember if she was getting out of bed or if she fell out of bed while she was sleeping, but her leg got twisted up in the sheets. As she fell out, she wrenched her knee. It hurt. Like she thought maybe she had torn something. And of course, they're away from the house because they're at one of the national parks or whatever. So they had to, when they got to a town, she had got like a knee brace for it. And eventually they made their way back home because they were on like a big cross-country thing. And she made an appointment with the doctor, and they were, they didn't really, part of it is because, my parents are retired, and so their health insurance is not like super top tier. It's just, retired insurance. So they wouldn't do an MRI, and she kept asking for one, and they're like, oh no, it's fine, And so they had her do physical therapy and all this stuff. Well, it turns out she finally did get one because they approved it, and she has a really deep bone bruise.
Ooh.
So thankfully she didn't actually tear anything, but she had a really deep bone bruise. But it's been months and months and months because she did it last summer actually. And she still wears a knee brace, and now she's, at the point where they're starting to give her the cortisol shots or whatever. So it's taken her a long time to recover. And if she walks on it too much, it's really angry. She's got to put ice packs on it. She's got her little cane that she uses to walk around in and stuff. So it's been a really tough recovery for her. It was something as simple as she fell out of bed, and because of the way the sheets twisted, she, did that to her knee when she landed. It's just one of those things,
It sounds painful.
Yeah. She said it's been very painful. As far as taking a long time to recover from injuries, when I started skating at the vert ramp with you, I was learning hand plant 180s. Once I finally got good at them, you were like, okay, don't use your toe stop, just go up and turn. And I went to do it, but my like you said in the last episode, your brain glitched out like halfway through the trick. My brain glitched out and I didn't turn all the way, and then I tried to turn back and I fell, and it wasn't a big bail. It actually didn't hurt that bad when I fell. But then I went home later and I was like, oh my gosh, my hip, I ended up with a bruise that was, almost as big as this microphone screen. It was huge, and it was right there on my hip, and it turned like a purplish red color. It was bad.
Yeah, and you had it for a really long time.
I still have a shadow of it too. I mean, that was in earlier in the year last year, or in the middle of the year last year. And yeah, I still have a shadow of the bruise because I used to joke around that I had Wolverine healing powers, because I would get injured and then bam, I was like, okay, fine, I'm fine. And still, I'm that way to a point, but something like that, it was such a big, deep bruise, it took forever to heal. And you had a couple of injuries too, though, didn't you?
I've had a couple of hard falls. So many injuries. I've had a couple of hard falls. I've had a couple. So I talked about one of them on the last episode, right, where my brain glitched in the middle of a Miller flip cartwheel. It was supposed to be a Miller flip, and my brain went, no.
Let's do a cartwheel.
Wrong direction. Yeah, where I fell. I think my head was at 12 feet on the ramp. Mm-hmm. So my head fell 12 feet and hit the ramp.
I remember that.
And then...
Thankfully, you were wearing a helmet.
Yes.
But still, it took you out.
Oh, it hurt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was a little dizzy for a little while. Mm-hmm. I had another fall a few months later. I think in like September of last year. Mm-hmm. Where I went up to do a slide on the coping.
Oh, yes.
And my right foot missed the coping. Mm-hmm. I went over. And so when I put the pressure, I just went like this.
Yeah.
Just up and down. Straight down, over 13 feet, my head fell.
Yep. And
hit the bottom of the ramp. And on that one, I also sprained my ankle.
Yes, you did. Yeah, because I was filming you. And I saw it happening in real time and was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go catch you.
Yeah. No, at that point, you're just...
Yeah.
And from that, with how I fell, there was no way for me to,
catch yourself.
Yeah. So, in my head, it went, oh, shit, okay, how do I keep my head from hitting the ramp? Mm-hmm. And that's how... And so, in most of my falls...
You tuck.
That's how I feel. Yeah. So, I, tuck my head up. But even then... The force of falling that far.
And that hard, yeah.
And yeah. So I hit my head on that one. Also, I was still a little dizzy for a little bit afterwards. Mm. The thing that hurt the most was the ankle. I could barely get up.
Yeah, we had to
I had to crawl off the ramp from that one.
Yeah, because I ran down the stairs to go help you into the chair.
Yeah, and then I think the next day when I woke up, I had major whiplash all. Mm-hmm. And then the latest one I had was I was attempting a cartwheel in, which I'm going to do it again. But I hit my head the hardest on that one. So I went to cartwheel in. I didn't fully commit. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I've done one, and I haven't done one on a ramp that big yet. Yeah. So it's been a while, so I didn't fully commit. So as I came over, I brought my legs in instead of letting them stay out to get into the ramp. And that caused me to...
off balance.
Just fall, go straight into the ramp.
Okay.
And so I was trying to grab onto the side, but I was already in the momentum of going out. Okay. So again, when I went into the ramp, it was a free fall for probably about 6 feet. And then I landed on my lower back. Mm-hmm. My head hit the ramp. I scratched up this elbow. Mm-hmm. I bruised this one still. I think I've got a deep bone bruise in this one.
Uh-huh. You can still feel it.
Yeah. If I put my arm down on a table or something, like people do like this.
Yeah.
I can feel it. Yeah, it's like a sharp little pain. Mm-hmm. It's slowly going away. It's getting better, but
yeah,
it was so bruised. The whole thing was bruised.
No, I remember. Yeah, that was
really dark.
That was the night that my work call ran late, so I didn't get to the ramp until almost 8:00. And she had done it earlier in the session, and everyone gave me shit for being late, number one, even though I told them, hey, I'm running late because, work is not allowing me to skate right now. And then it was like, oh no, I wasn't there for my friend when she fell, so I felt really bad that night because I was like, I should have been there.
I had texted you earlier in the day and I was like, so what do you think about a cartwheel into the ramp? And then you never answered
I know,
me.
because I had back-to-back meetings that day and I was like,
well, okay, I'm going to try it anyway. Kate never answered me. I feel so lonely.
I know. That was a crazy day of work. I was really swamped. So, yeah, I apologize. I apologize for not telling work to... I'm just kidding. I mean, injuries are part of the game. I mean, there's that old saying, like, you pay to play.
It is true.
And it's true. But at the same time, like, as far as getting into the whole gear discussion, and this is a very touchy subject in the skating community, my view of it is, okay, people who like to street skate, they don't like to wear gear because it's supposed to be more gnarly, more gritty. If you can do all that shit and, I got torn up, it's part of the culture, right? And, okay, I understand that to a certain degree. And also, too, street skating, you don't have as far to fall. I mean, you can do big jumps on big rails, like, handrails and stuff like that. There are certain street spots where there are a big jump, unless you're crazy and you just jump off the roof of something. But for the most part, street skating it's high risk because you're going very fast and you're doing very technical tricks, but you're closer to the ground. So yeah, you'll get like really nasty road rash. You might sprain something, tear something, whatever. I understand the whole culture of they don't want to wear gear. That's fine. I still don't agree with it, but that's just me personally. I feel like when you get into ramps and bowls, it's very smart to wear gear because you can't necessarily always control where you're going to be and where you're going to land. And even, there are some skaters that are really good skaters, and even they hit their head or have like a major injury. Even if they've done the trick a million times and they've landed it a million times, it's that 1,000,001th time where they wipe out and then they're seriously injured. And as far as me, like I see it from a longevity standpoint. Number one, do you want to get a serious injury? No, nobody wants that. But number two, how long do you want to skate for? Do you want to skate for years and years and still be able to do it? Or do you want to literally fuck up everything that you have on your body and then not be able to get to do it anymore? A lot of people use skating as their mental health, their therapy, their stress relief. What happens if you can't skate? You're out of the game. It's going to majorly affect your mental health. So I'm very pro gear because I think of all of those things. And also, too, because I know people who have suffered brain injury. I'm going to take a little side note here and get into actual statistics about brain injury because March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. I think it's important to highlight it because it's not talked about a whole lot, but it's very common, actually. There's more than 5.3 million people in the United States that are living with a permanent brain injury related disability. That's like 1 in every 60 people. I mean, if you really think about it, that's a lot of people. And it's also the leading cause of death and disability in the U.S. So more than heart disease, more than all of the things. The other statistic that I found is that at least 2.8 million Americans sustain a traumatic brain injury, or a TBI, each year. And 47.9% of that is due to falls. So it's not just old people falling over. I mean, it's everybody. It's kids, it's adults, it's people who are in sports, people who are not in sports. It's a big thing. And I feel like if you're going to play a sport or be in a sport that has a high injury risk, it's smart for you to wear a helmet because you cannot necessarily recover from a brain injury. There are some that you can, but I mean, a lot of times if it's bad enough, you have to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, all of the things.
Yeah, brain cells don't regenerate.
They don't. And you can get some of that training back, but you're still going to end up with cognitive functions or disability for the rest of your life. And that's a big deal. There are two types of brain injury. One is traumatic, and then there's non-traumatic, right? So traumatic brain injury is due to things like falls or like some sort of force or trauma. So you either strike something or you're thrown against something, whatever. that's basically skating. You could miss your landing and strike the ramp or the bowl. And the surface of it, whatever you're skating, concrete obviously is going to be pretty detrimental. There was a couple of years ago, right before Banger in the Hangar, there was a roller skater who decided to go off the tombstone, which is a pretty straight drop.
Oh, yeah.
That big giant tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
She is not a regular vert skater, so she was not prepared for it. Luckily, she was wearing a helmet because North Houston requires people to wear helmets. But she smashed up her face, and, it was bad. She was lucky she was wearing a helmet because it could have been way worse. She probably could have died. Those are traumatic brain injuries, right? And then, of course, you have your non-traumatic brain injury, which is, due to things like lack of oxygen or, exposure to toxins or, tumors and stuff. And that's actually what my late husband experienced was he had a lung disease. And because of that, he would get too much carbon dioxide in his blood and not enough oxygen. And so both the lack of oxygen and the elevated CO2 started to give him some brain injury symptoms where he would lose cognitive function and stuff, and we'd have to rush him to the hospital. But, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the traumatic brain injury, which happens because of, falls or blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd at least kind of put that out there, let everybody realize that brain injury is common. It's very serious. It's something that's very hard to recover from. And I've noticed in the past couple of years, everyone went from pretty pro gear, at least pro helmet, to all of a sudden, nobody wants to wear a helmet. And we're seeing younger generations that are seeing, oh, well, I like this skater. She's cool. She's not wearing a helmet. I'm not going to wear a helmet. Even if you don't think that you're a role model to younger kids, you are. And so it's what are you teaching those kids? And as a mom, I'm that's the worst thing you could be doing is let kids know, hey, it's cool, don't wear a helmet.
That's one of those things, when I'm in the park, I wear all my gear. The only thing I don't have on is elbow pads.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those things, there are kids, I've had kids come up to me and say, hey, I love your skating, whatever. And I know they're watching me.
Yeah.
And I wear my helmet. There are times when I could go, I could go to Easy 7 and not wear my helmet. It'd be fine.
Yeah. But you do.
I do, because you never know, there's that little bitty tiny percent where something could just go slightly wrong, and then you're at the bottom and you've hit your head and you have no idea where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
It happens.
Like I said,
I've seen it happen.
Yeah. Like I said in the first episode that we released, when I played roller derby, we wore full gear because it's a full contact sport. And I still suffered concussions while wearing a helmet, There was a time that at the ramp, Cody was trying a big trick that he hadn't.
He did a McTwist, which
is
a trick that he can land.
He can land that all the time. Well, he can land that. And it just happened to be the way he landed, his board went out from under him and he hit his head really hard. he recoiled.
He broke his helmet.
He broke his helmet in half. And that was really scary.
That was really scary.
I rushed out onto the ramp ready to put pressure on a wound or something and, call 911. And he was able to sit up and we tested him out and he knew what his name was and all that stuff. But that was pretty scary. So you have to realize that even really experienced skaters, yes, I understand we're all adults. I can't mom everybody, and I understand that. And I try not to. But if I do mom you, it's because I care about you as a person and I don't want you to get hurt. So take that as you will. But...
And we both do it.
Yeah,
especially out at the ramp.
No, we will absolutely mom the guys. Where's your helmet? Put on your helmet. Where are your knee pads?
I did that to Richard for his birthday skate.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to be all impressive in front of his family. Hi, Richard. And I was you need to go put your stuff on. At least put your helmet on.
Because a broken bone is easier to recover from than a brain injury.
Helmet, huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all the other gear. I always wear my knee pads.
Oh, absolutely.
I go on a street skate. If I go on a street skate where I'm just cruising, I wear smaller knee pads.
Yeah.
Because
there's no downhill option.
I've hit a rock before and it scrapes up my knees.
Oh yeah.
Wrist guards are optional even at the skate park, although I started wearing them on a regular basis. Now, I've broken my wrist before. I wasn't wearing wrist guards when I did that back in 2018 when I broke my wrist. But when I do all my flippy tricks, I throw my hands into the ramp so hard that like I'll get bruises through here or here or here or whatever. Even on the tips of my fingers, I'll have bruises. And I discovered that I can do my flip tricks with my wrist guards on and not be bruised. And I can still do all the tricks. Like I can do ho-hos with my wrist guards on. That would be the hardest one. Like if you can do that, then you can do any of the flips on the ramp with your wrist guards on.
Yeah. Well, and like I think both of us wear Pro Designed wrist guards.
Yeah.
I mean, I wear Pro Designed everything, but I like the Pro Designed because the spoon, number one, the spoon is flat. So like 888 and all of them will stick out at an angle, which I feel puts your wrist in an awkward position.
And I feel like it presses on the middle of your
It does.
hand
it presses
too.
on your palm.
So what scares me about that is that if you fall on it too hard, like to me, in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, all of these bones right here could get broken.
Correct. And that's a weird spot to break your hand.
Yeah, that's a lot of tiny little bitty bones in there. Bones, ligaments, tendons, all the stuff you need to operate your hand.
Correct. Yeah.
That's why I like the Pro Design, because it is flush and it's a big spoon in the middle. And
because when I played roller derby, I started out with 888, and every time I fell, because I played as jammer, and you know they teach you the all four fall, where you fall on your knees, but you also slide with your hands with your fingers up so that you don't get your fingers run over. I would forever, like this part of the heel of my hand would bruise really, really bad. And when I invested in Pro Design, it protected my palm better, and it protected this bone at the heel of my thumb, and then I wouldn't bruise there. But then I also like that the wrist guards are stiff, but like I said, that you have a natural motion of your wrist rather than feeling like you're more like this. That's just my personal preference. I wear wrist guards most of the time. Well, and even with street skating, like you said, you know, the surface is unknown. You hit patches of crunchy concrete, you hit debris, your soft wheels will absorb so much. And if you have done it long enough, obviously you know when you're street skating that it's good to have a staggered stance, because you can catch yourself if you start to pitch forward or backward.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can do all of those things and you can still fall. So yeah, I definitely wear knee pads, because especially falling on concrete, that
I like
hurts.
my knees.
Yeah.
My knees are old. So well, we both have old knees. They just ache.
Yeah.
Because all of your weight is on your knees, like throughout your entire life. Your ankles too. My ankles pop all the time.
Oh, everything on me pops.
Everything pops.
I make a joke. I make a joke that I'm 40, but really since I played roller derby, I'm like 56 in derby years, because everything is crunchy.
It's like your knees are very important. Like it's one of, I mean, okay, sure, your whole body is important, but your knees like wear out so easily, especially in our sport.
Yes.
Because there's so much, if you're a street skater, you're jumping off of things and just landing. If you're a transition skater, the force, you know, of going back and forth, like you get what they call overuse. And then if you're a vert skater, the force going down will fatigue your knees. It will fatigue your knees. I went for a long time just wearing knee pads, and then after skate sessions, my knees would just ache.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So then I started wearing gaskets or knee sleeves, whatever you want to call them. And it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think the first session I wore the knee sleeves, the old bones ones. The like there was no fatigue.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it would take, like I would go for a skate session and then I'd have to take the next day off because my knees were so tired and achy that I couldn't skate.
I had a similar experience because I only wore knee pads in derby. I never got into the knee gaskets. But then when I started park skating, I was like, okay, this is a whole different ball game. And I, the same thing. My knees would ache, and that's why I couldn't skate as often as some of the younger kids could. It was just like, hang on, I need a rest day. When I discovered Old Bones knee sleeves, I started wearing them, and I like them because they have that little ring of gel around the kneecap, so it gives your kneecap extra cushion. It kind of helps like keep it in place.
Yeah.
Which a lot of if you injure your knee and you wear some sort of knee sleeve or knee brace, a lot of the times they'll have that little donut.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And then at the same time, they're also breathable. So they're not...
You don't get
like
sweaty.
The 187 ones. I was wearing the 187 ones for a little while, and they're like all polyester,
neoprene,
spandex, something, whatever. And we're in Houston.
Yeah.
So it's really, really hot.
And sweaty.
And you're going to sweat. And so I was getting like heat rash on my knees. And so that's when I switched over to the Old Bones ones.
Yeah, because I remember that. Because I was wearing Old Bones and I was like, oh, you should get these instead because they're compression sleeves and they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked them a lot.
And they were amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're fantastic. I love them.
Yeah, by the way, if you guys want to make purple ones, I know you have pink ones.
Yeah,
I love the pink ones. If you want to make purple ones, I will totally buy some.
I also have the insoles for my skates.
Okay.
Which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
They're amazing. It's like, I don't know if it's a memory foam, but they're shock absorbing. Of course, it took me a little while to get used to them. When I first put them in, I felt like I was skating in mud.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do anything. I'm not moving anywhere. It feels like I'm not moving anywhere.
Yeah.
But after getting used to them, so with my Moxies and the Sure Grips, when I was in Moxies, I constantly got bruises on my, like the ball of my foot or the heel of my foot. Constantly with bruises. Then I went over to the Sure Grips. Same thing, maybe a little bit less. But if I did some sort of jump or landed, whatever, I would get bruises on my heels and the ball of my foot.
Okay.
And those things suck.
Yeah.
Have you had it? You've had those, yeah. So when I switched out the insoles to the Old Bones ones, I haven't had any of that since.
That's cool.
Which is awesome.
I wear Vans shoes as skates. I had them converted. My first pair of Vans was just a plain old custom pair. I had designed them like galaxy and planets and stuff. But it was just regular, like skate highs. After I blew the toes out in that and I got another pair of shoes, which is what I'm wearing now, I decided to spend a little extra money and get the pro skate highs, which are like tougher canvas, and it's got the pop cush insole inside. And so I kind of had the same feeling as when I upgraded to the tough Vans, because even the rubber is tougher and all that stuff. The insole was bigger than the normal Vans, and so it was like, oh gosh, like this feels weird. Like it's too much, it's too big. But then once I finally got used to them, I'm like, oh okay. So that kind of does that, because that's the same sort of thing. It's got more cushion in the heel.
Yeah, I want comfy feet, and I want my knees to not be tired.
And then
my head to be safe.
And then sleep with like 5 pillows so you don't mess up your shoulder.
That's just not like,
I know.
I fell asleep on the couch.
I know. That's a rookie mistake. I'm just
But
saying.
I fall asleep on the couch all the time.
Well, now you're too old for that.
It had been a while though, so into life stuff. The dogs have been getting on the couch, which I try to keep them off the couch because, they shed and they bring dirt. Like they go out in the yard and roll around in the dirt, like all the time. They just dig a hole and roll around in the hole and come inside dirty. So I try to keep them off the couch.
Yeah.
I keep them off my bed too. They know not to get on my bed, but now they're like sneaking onto the couch. And there are times when I'll just be taking a nap on the couch and I'll wake up and I've got Scarlett at my feet and Cody on the ottoman and Ryder on the love seat. And I'm just like, y'all see me here.
Exactly. They're like, oh, it's
They
nap
did that
time.
twice last night.
It's nap time.
But, so I took the covers off of all of the couch cushions. I washed them. And it's a pain in the ass to put them back on.
Yeah.
So for about a week, I finally put them back on yesterday. But the entire week, there was just nothing on the couch. So I hadn't been on the couch in a week.
Yeah. There you go.
Because I was too lazy to
put
fight with the cushions.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, you know what? The house is clean. Nobody's coming over, so just...
Who cares what it looks like? Yeah. That's right.
Oh, it was so funny. So last night was the first time I got on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you fell asleep.
I think I reversed some of the cushions because I have a cushion that's like perfectly
molded to your body.
I am Sheldon Cooper.
Oh my god. Okay, she is. Let's caveat that really quick. So we make fun of her. I don't know if you guys have watched. We have it on both of our pages and our YouTube. We made a 90s sitcom intro with myself, Leanette, Mike, and Cody, and we put the Full House theme song in the back. It's great. Go watch it. It's cute. We had a lot of fun making it that day. And Leanette decided when she edited it together that she was going to name everybody, right? So it was like Kate was like the cute one, Cody was the badass, you were the bossy one, and then Mike was the goofball. And pretty much like we decided for Lynette's piece that Mike was going to be sitting in her spot. So we have the channel box extension that is usually they'll use for Banger and the Hanger and such. They'll put it across the channel for guys the skateboarders to do tricks on. When it's not being used, it's against the wall and we use it as a bench. We sit on it. Leanette has her spot. I usually sit next to her and then the two spots on the end are open, right? For a while, I was sitting to Lynette's right and she was sitting to my left. But when we drop in, I drop in, on the left side and she drops in on the right side. So we decided to switch spots. But if anyone sits in her spot on that bench, she will make them move. She'll be like, excuse me, you're in my spot. And so that's why in the little 90s sitcom intro, she comes up out of the ramp, Mike is sitting in her spot, and she's like, you're in my spot, and he has to move, right? And she's even that way. There's chairs down on the deck at the bottom of the ramp, and there's one plastic Adirondack chair that Leanette thinks is her chair. And even when she's up on the deck of the ramp, and someone happens to sit in that chair, she gets very mad, and she's like, that person's in my chair. They need to get out of my chair. And I'm like, are you sitting in your chair right now? No, you're up on the deck of the ramp. It's fine. They can sit there for a minute. And she's like, she gets very angry. It's pretty humorous.
I don't know why I'm like this.
It's pretty humorous at this point. But yes, you are definitely Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Yep. You have to have your certain spot. So, sorry, I didn't mean to sidebar us into that, but I feel that's kind of shenanigans. That's shenanigans related, so...
That is very much shenanigans. It's so funny because the guys will sit in my spot just on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Cody does it all the time.
And he'll be like... Oh, my favorite is when he does the, what is it, from Pulp Fiction, where he's like, the John Travolta. He, looks around like he doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, Richard did that the other day, too. I got up because I was going to go drop in, and the wind was blowing.
Oh, right.
And, he sat down and then he looked at me and he was like, well, you got up.
Yeah.
I was like, it's okay. I'm about to go drop in. But when I get back,
you better be moved.
Yep. It's so funny.
Yeah. Let's reroute back into our gear discussion. We kind of sort of touched on skate setups a little bit.
In the last episode.
And, and a little bit here because we were talking about how you have your shirt grips and your insoles, and I skate in Vans, converted Vans shoes. I skate in the converted Vans because when I skated derby for 10 years, I was using Bont hybrid, like the carbon fiber hybrid boots, and it's a speed skating boot. So it has no ankle support at all because it's a speed skating boot. And it also had no heel. It was flat skate. And so skating in that type of a setup for 10 years, I'm set in my ways now. So when I started park skating, and I had Moxie Lollies, and I had started park skating in those and quickly realized that I was not very comfortable. I like the Moxie skates. I will use them for street skating. So any kind of lifestyle, if I go to the roller rink, I'll use them. For park skating, I do not like them because of the heel. It's just very uncomfortable to me, and I'm used to not having ankle support too. I think I used my Moxies for about a year. And then I invested and bought the Vans shoe and the park setup, and I sent them to Bigfoot Bike and Skate. And I said, hey, Brian, I want penny trucks and I want sunlight plates. I have wheels and toe stops, but can you put all these together? Here are my shoes. I shipped him my shoes and he put it all together for me. And they're amazing. Like my setup is still the same exact setup. Even though now I have different shoes, I have new shoes, I literally just moved the whole setup over. And
I'm a little different than that. I like the heel. Mm-hmm. I mean, I did derby in a flat skate. Okay. But I really like the heel. Yeah. And I like the lollies and the sure grip.
Mm-hmm. Because you have some ankle support, but not a ton.
No, I don't feel like there's any ankle support.
Oh, okay.
I mean, okay, so in the shirt grips, when you start off in them, they're extremely stiff. Mm-hmm. But
because you have to break
then it's like putting a sock on your foot.
Okay.
And that because I was a jammer, mm-hmm. and because I had a low cut boot, like I didn't want the ankle support. I wanted the mm-hmm. high boot, but I didn't want the ankle support. Mm-hmm. Which is why I won't get the jacks.
Yeah.
Because they're too much like a rollerblade boot where it's stiff mm-hmm. and I need the movement.
Yeah.
So I like the sure grips because they are, once you get them broken in, mm-hmm. it's like a sock.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I know a lot of people really like the ankle support.
That's why they buy the stiffer boots.
Yeah, and I think, if I hadn't played roller derby, if I just went into park skating and I didn't know any different, that a stiff boot probably would feel good for me.
But see, to me, the lollies aren't stiff.
No, they're not.
They're very flexible.
They're flexible. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like...
It depends on how you lace them.
It's just like a sock.
Yeah. Well, and like with me, I would always accidentally buy too long of laces. So I would lace them up and then wrap them around my ankles and then tie. So I think that's one reason why I didn't like them too. But like I said, I'll wear them on street skates. I'll wear them to the roller rink. Yeah. All of that good stuff. The thing I'm trying to get used to now is I have a pair of Slades, which are the convertible shoe with the rolling base that you can clip and unclip with the skate key. I got them last year around Christmas time because they were having a sale. So I got them for like $200. I'm used to skating in wide trucks, so my park skates, my van setup, are 3-inch penny trucks. So now when I skate on narrow trucks, I feel out of control. I don't know if it's the way the shoe is designed or whatever, but like the whole reason I wanted to get them is because I wanted to skate at the airport, right? Like when I'm traveling, I want to roll through the airport. But I've been skating in wide trucks for so long, I have to get used to skating in narrow trucks because I feel like I'm not as secure. I can't stop as easily. I can't, I feel like I'm going to fall over. Yeah. It's one of those things, like you get used to skating one thing and then you go to switch, especially for my neurotic brain. If I change anything, if I change wheels, if I change literally anything, my brain constantly is like, hey, did you notice that thing? Did you notice it's different? Did you know? Hey, go look at that. I mean, and it's constantly like, hey. So I know if I adjust something on my skates or if I put something new on my skates, like that session is just going to be shitty because all my brain can think about is how different this feels than last time.
Are we ready for events?
We are ready for events.
April 28th through the 30th. Mm-hmm. We're reminding you about Blading Cup again.
Mm-hmm. Blading Cup, Quad Cup.
Blading Cup. Words.
Words are hard. Fish are weird, right?
Moxie Skate Camp. Mm-hmm. I had a brain fart.
Second to last.
Yes, second to last weekend of April. First weekend of May. Mm-hmm. Sandwiching Quad Cup. Mm-hmm. The Skate Laborious thing.
Yes.
We're going to just remind you about that every episode because it's the first Sunday of every month. Mm-hmm. Volunteer Day. So go help them out. It is 10 to 6 p.m. That's at Skate Laborious in St. Louis, Missouri. Mm-hmm. Find their Instagram. They're awesome.
Very cool. Big old church made into a skate park.
Yeah.
It's on our bucket list. Yes.
And then our favorite, always. Which one is it?
Banger in the Hanger. Woo!
November 9th through the 12th.
Yes.
We're never going to get tired of saying that.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And then
hashtag Dirt Ramp Crew.
Once Banger's over and before he announces the next year, it's going to be like, well, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about how awesome hey.
Well, I mean, in the events when we announce the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll be talking about Banger for months after it happens.
Mm-hmm. Get ready, you guys.
We'll remember different things. And that's just how it's going to go.
Yep. We'll make sure to do handstands, the handstand contest again. Good times.
Did we tell you about Derek Scott, the world's best DJ?
Yes! Quick shout out to our individual sponsors. I'm sponsored by The Drive Clothing, which you can find through my link, which is thedriveclothing.com/altercation1053. If you have trouble spelling out altercation, you can go to my page or just think of altercation, Tion. But they have a lot of really cool graphic tees and sweatshirts. They do a lot of cool cuts. They also have a lot of athletic gear for women. They're starting to do more athletic gear for guys. For guys, they also have like essential button downs. So like the nice collared shirts. They've got hats. They've got, a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty cool. And they're based in Houston, Texas, which is pretty cool too. So
that is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to shout out to Naryard. I'm wearing one of their shirts now. I actually love this. They thrift their clothes and then print their logos on them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're based out of Austin. So give them a follow. Go check out their stuff. They have some pretty cool designs. They have colorful things because I like color.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is Two Tias, which I am on the Two Tias skate team. They do apparel. They have really, really cute stuff. They have little chilies on there. We do have swimsuits because we are getting into, well, I don't know, the rest of the country is probably not as hot as we are right now.
Like we're already getting into summer.
I know, we're in summer.
It's in the mid-80s.
Always in summer. We might get like a day of winter and a day of fall and a day of spring, but we're in summer at all times.
Yep.
So they have swimsuits. They're really cute. I have 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have one that's a one piece and it says Adventure Awaits and it has a little roller skate with a little trail. It's really cute. And then I have the chili 2-piece, which is really cute too.
Yeah.
So check them out. Naryard, 2 Tias. You can also find links to their Instagrams on my page.
Yeah, we have all of our links in our link trees on our page. So
yeah.
But yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed our show.
Yep.
Thanks for going in depth with us.
Thank you for listening to me rant about helmets for the past however long this is going to be when we edit it.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on those notifications so that you know when a new episode drops because I'm still not telling you.
It's a surprise. We'll announce when they happen. But
they know that, but I'm not telling them.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again.
Come back and see us.
Bye.